see the pieces are being put into place. It's not just gold. We find out that Russia's federal budget draft includes plans to acquire not just gold, platinum, and palladium, but for the first time ever announced by a central bank, silver. And it's the first time that the central bank has ever made a significant announcement in this regards. And, could it push it above 50? Yeah, why not? When you have stupidity to the degree that we have, suppression on the COMEX market, on the LBMA, yeah, it's rocket fuel.
Well, gold's going up. Okay, central banks are buying it. We don't know why they're buying it, but they seem to be buying it. The fact that America is now in a debt trap, this is a point which is recognized by multiple central banks who've been selling dollars. They've been adjusting their currency reserves, if you like, dumping dollars, even dumping euros in return for gold. What does that tell you? They're going into gold, they're getting out of fiat. These are alarm bells.
There's no reason to have proof coins unless you want a proof coin of every year that goes back to 1986. But if you're putting in $500,000 or $1 million or even $100,000, what is the point of paying 50%, 75%, 100%, whatever it is, more for a proof coin? Because you're not going to get that back on the back end.
In today's weekly recap, 3 financial experts, Andy Schectman, Bill Holter, and Alasdair Macleod, share their insights on the recent developments in the precious metals markets. We watched hours of footage to bring you the best clips so you don't have to. These thought leaders break down the most recent developments in the precious metals markets, offering their perspectives on key trends, risks, and opportunities. From the shifting dynamics in gold and silver prices to the underlying economic factors driving demand. Their analysis is invaluable for both seasoned investors and newcomers to the market. Now smash the subscribe button, hit the like button, and turn on notifications so you do not miss out our daily recaps. Enjoy the episode.
Countries are tired of sanctions and the bullying, and they're trying to get out of the way of the West, and they're doing that by purchasing over $1 trillion of gold since 2022 while selling $1 trillion in treasuries. This is a trend that is unmistakable. When we talk about the countries in Project Enbridge, the ones that are moving to what I believe is really the big moment, and that is if indeed we see a common settlement currency come out of this meeting in October or in a few weeks here in Russia. It's noteworthy to note that all of the countries in Enbridge, China, Hong Kong, Thailand, UAE, they all run a current budget surplus, and all of them have been increasing their gold reserves. And instead of buying treasuries, this is what's called gold recycling, and they're storing their trade surpluses in gold instead of U.S. treasuries. This is huge. All of these things are going to factor in to this big moment. And it's also noteworthy to note that China, Hong Kong, and the UAE all have sophisticated precious metals markets. The one in Shanghai, the volume has now surpassed the COMEX dramatically with a 400% increase in volume over the past 6 months or less. It's now the second most actively traded market in the world. You can see the pieces are being put into place. It's not just gold. We find out that Russia's federal budget draft includes plans to acquire not just gold, platinum, and palladium, but for the first time ever announced by a central bank, silver. And it's the first time that the central bank has ever made a significant announcement in this regards. And, could it push it above 50? Yeah, why not? When you have stupidity to the degree that we have, suppression on the COMEX market, on the LBMA, yeah, it's rocket fuel. And maybe that's why we see the Citibank analyst, Max Layton, come out and say that, first of all, silver's up about 35% so far this year, but they're predicting over the next 3 months a rise up to $38 and maybe even higher. So all of these things are beginning to factor into into the global picture. And that discounts all the stupidity that we are seeing at home, where $167 million was just given to Lebanon, approved in aid, $385 million already this year. And yet we need to get congressional approval to approve additional aid to North Carolina at the same time, and they've gotten a fraction of that amount. It's unbelievable where this moron, the head of Homeland Security, what is it, Mayorkas, came out just on Wednesday, I think, and he said that they don't have enough funds in FEMA, that they've already spent more than $1.4 billion since the fall of 2022 to address the migrant crisis, and they expect another hurricane hitting a la tomorrow, but they don't have enough money to do it. And it's disgusting that we've given $1.4 million to illegal immigrants here, money taken from FEMA, and at the same time in an environment, and this is kind of just, I digress for a second, where it just seems that with this modern monetary theory BS that's all over the place, where we can spend money to a degree that no one's ever seen before. We can create a 100,000 in debt every second and $1 trillion every 100 days, which took 200 years to do the first time, that we don't even have enough decency and even a hollow gesture to stuff the coffers of organizations like FEMA so they can come in and help us when we need it most. It's just unbelievable that we give money all around the world and don't take care of our own. It's horrific.
In today's news recap, silver is in a hidden global bull market. Silver has been lagging behind gold significantly, creating uncertainty for investors looking for opportunities in precious metals. Interestingly, silver has been setting new all-time highs in several global currencies, highlighting investor interest around the globe. Whether this is related to the alleged silver suppression, currency divergences, or anything else is completely out of scope of our work. It may even be completely irrelevant to investors. What truly matters is that silver has printing a series of fresh all-time highs in currencies like the Indian rupee, Australian dollar. Moreover, in other global currencies like the Canadian dollar and euro, silver is inches away from hitting new ATH. It becomes clear that the global investor interest in silver is very strong, much stronger than the silver in USD story makes us believe. Now we'll show you the best clips of the latest interview, but first, smash the subscribe button and turn on notifications so you do not miss out our daily recaps. Enjoy the episode.
The fact that America is now in a debt trap. This is a point which is recognized by multiple central banks who've been selling dollars. They've been adjusting their currency reserves, if you like, dumping dollars, even dumping euros in return for gold. What does that tell you? They're going into gold. They're getting out of fiat. These are alarm bells, which we ignore. We sort of just think, well, gold's going up. Okay, central banks are buying it. We don't know why they're buying it, but they seem to be buying it. The idea that they want to hold on to pet rocks, well, doesn't make any sense. But it does make huge sense if you understand the difference between fiat money, which is credit, unattached to any value whatsoever, depending entirely on the faith in it, initially by foreigners, and then eventually by the domestic users of that currency, compared with real legal money, which is internationally accepted, which is gold. So this is actually a very, very serious point we've arrived at. But getting back to the situation as far as Russia and China are concerned, they now need to protect their currencies from an impending collapse of the fiat currency system, of the dollar-based fiat currency system. And I think that's where we are. And I think that this is why this BRICS meeting in Kazan is actually so important. If Russia and China don't act soon, and this seems to me to be a pretty good opportunity, if you like, have a facility, if you like, for trade settlement and the purchase of commodities, being priced effectively in gold through rubles and through yuan. If you have that, then this is a Trojan horse, if you like, into the destruction, the ending of this fiat currency regime, which is serving nobody any good at all. Just look what's happened to the purchasing power of our currencies, since 1971. I mean, they've diminished to less than 1% of what they were then. This has done none of us any good at all. It's just allowed the political class to spend way above their resources. For what benefit? Impoverishing us all in the process. And we are actually coming towards an end of that. So from the point of view of Russia and China, I think quite clearly, this could be the moment when they have to take the decision. Are we going for it or not? It's their call. So Kazan, I think, is desperately important.
In today's news recap, silver price struggles below 32 pivot. Will bulls push higher? Silver prices hovered at $31.85 on Monday, despite a strong surge in demand, particularly from the solar energy sector. The recent decline can be attributed to improved market sentiment. Investors are shifting focus away from safe haven assets due to easing concerns over a U.S. economic slowdown and optimism around China's stimulus efforts. Ongoing supply shortages are set to play a critical role in determining silver's future trajectory. According to the Silver Institute, global silver demand has outpaced supply for 3 consecutive years, with a projected deficit of 215 million ounces for 2024. This imbalance is driven by increasing industrial consumption and limited new mine production. Despite the rise in prices, production remains 62.8 million ounces below its peak in 2016. Additionally, the Bloomberg NEF report highlights that a broader shortage in key transition metals could further elevate silver prices. The report estimates a $2.1 trillion investment is required by 2050 to secure a stable supply of raw materials necessary for clean energy technologies. Without this investment, the costs of essential metals like aluminum, copper, and lithium could rise sharply by 2030. For now, the combination of rising demand and limited supply points to higher silver prices in the near future. As shortages deepen, competition for these limited resources may increase prices, especially if supply disruptions persist. Staying attuned to these market developments will be crucial for investors and industries relying on silver. This will help them navigate potential price volatility and secure long-term supply stability. Now we'll show you the best clips of the latest interview, but first, smash the subscribe button, hit the like button, and turn on notifications so you do not miss out our daily recaps.
In my opinion, these vaults, what's going to happen when the system goes down, they're just going to close their doors. There's not going to be anything in and nothing out. You won't have access to your metal, but that's the same time you don't have access to your bank account. You don't have access to credit cards. Nothing's working. So obviously you want to have metal on hand. And the question in an IRA is, do you take it all out, have it delivered to you, and, take the tax hit plus maybe a 10% penalty? I don't really think that's necessary. The great taking, I think, is going to be largely, if not almost entirely, digital. I think it will be digital from the standpoint of your bank accounts, your brokerage accounts, your insurance, annuities, things like that. And I think longer term, real estate's going to be taken because people aren't going to be able to pay their real estate taxes. So I think that's the bulk of the great taking. I don't think that they will go into, crash into vaults and confiscate, because they've got to physically do that. They can't do that with a push of a button. If you do hold IRAs, and I've recommended this now for years, you want to have U.S. Mint lineage coin. You want gold eagles. You want silver eagles. And the reason being, if you're buying a gold eagle this week or a Silver Eagle this week from the mint, can they really come back next week and say, but you've got to turn around and sell it back to us? I think there'd be all kinds of lawsuits. I think within an IRA account, could they say gold and silver, or gold or silver are illegal? Yeah, they could do that. And if you own bars, if you own generic coin, those would certainly be subject to it, because it's basically raw and privately fabricated metal. Could they confiscate foreign sovereigns? Yeah, they could. Could they confiscate American coin? Yes, they can, but it will be much, much more difficult because it is U.S. coin. So I would just say, if you hold an IRA and you decide that you do want to leave it in a vault, make sure that they're U.S. mint lineage coin. Now, as far as dealers are concerned, I guess the first and biggest red flag is if you ask the question, well, how much is this particular coin? And they give you a runaround and don't give you an answer, then you could be pretty sure that they're not on the up and up. I can tell you, Andy Schectman and I did a little bit of investigation. This was quite a few years ago. This was probably 2015, 16, something like that. And there's one particular person that does quite a few interviews and is telling people to do the right thing. They're telling people that the pre-1933 gold is absolutely good because they're considered collectibles. They're not bullion, and they'd be almost impossible to confiscate. And with silver, they're saying you should buy junk silver. And I agree with both of those. The only problem is Andy and I, we called that particular company. And this is when gold was trading at maybe $1,200 an ounce, something like that. And we had MS63 St. Gaudens priced at $1,340, $1,350. And we called in, and of course we got the runaround as to not wanting to give us price. But I pushed and I pushed, and I got their price. And their price was over $1,650. And that's because this particular company charges, on top of the retail price, they charge 26%. But people don't know that until after they send money, and then they find out. And I've had some people ask me about it, and they've immediately called and said, I want to cancel the trade, and the trades have been canceled. But to me, I mean, the retail price is more than adequate for dealers to do business, earn a fair profit, versus this particular company coming up with the retail price, so they're already getting paid on that, and then they bang you for 26%. So yeah, I mean I would say that is probably the number one red flag, is if they don't want to give you price.
What do you think of Alasdair's interview? Do you agree with him? Are BRICS nation going to destroy the U.S. dollar and the American economy? Will gold rise to $5,000 in 2025? Post in the comments section your honest opinion and share with the stackers if you also hold miners in your portfolio, or if, on the contrary, you stick with the metals themselves. Thanks for watching. Now check this video right here because you'll like it. I'll see you on the other side.